Good afternoon, it's Lee Cassidy from Tactile Technology. A little bit more casual than I normally am, but it is Friday after all, so I can go a bit casual from time to time. So what we're going to talk about today on our Verkada Friday is the SV11 sensor that's just been released, and want to go through a few things with you, but also I'm going to come on to people as well, because there's been some changes within the Verkada command environment around people, which makes life a lot easier, and I'll show you that very quickly towards the end as well. So talking about sensors, so if we look at what Verkada are doing at the moment, they're providing you visual security within the confines of a building or externally. So you can see what's happening, you can see people, you can see vehicles, and you can also then control access as well by managing doors and be able to remotely open and close doors, but also to audit that. And a linkage between those cameras and also the door access control as well. So if someone comes and opens a door, you can actually see them go through the door. If they come and they're actually told they can't, it'll actually give you the reason why they weren't allowed, because it may be a door that they're not allowed to go through, or a time of day that they're not allowed to go through that particular door, and show again an image of them at the side of the door when they're attempting to come in through the door instead of when they've gone through it. So a few things that we can do there, but really there's lots more going on in your environment, and especially if you're in something like a manufacturing facility, warehouse, those kind of things. One of the other things we've got to really be careful of is the environmental effects of what we're doing, whether we're polluting the atmosphere in some way, we're having high either temperature or humidity issues, or even low temperature issues and low humidity issues, because if we get very low humidity, we get build-up of statics, which can cause problems as well. So it's quite interesting, this new release. And what I'm going to do is show you the actual sensor live on the system. And then what I'm going to do is go through some of the metrics that sensor provides. So let's jump over to our presentation. So what we can see is it fits in with the standard layout with the Verkada command. So on the left hand side we can see sites, grids, and now we can see sensors as well as people, which I'm going to go into afterwards. So if I just get my mouse over, and if I go on to sensors, there's only one sensor available on this system so far, but quite quickly we can see where that sensor is located, and we've got a camera associated with it. So same as with the access control, we can associate a Verkada camera of any type with the sensor, same as with the access control. So not only can we actually monitor the environmental situation in that area, we can actually visually look at that as well. So if we drill, look at it from the top first, at the details. So what we've got is a number of bits of information. So the name of it, whatever we want to call it, the camera that's attached to it, we can see the site it's on, we can see the location of it, and then we can see some live data. So looking at the data, we can see quite quickly if it's in green, it's a standard figure, so it's a healthy condition. If it's outside of that, it's going to go either amber or red to show that we're getting close to a dangerous situation, or we are in a dangerous situation. If I put the mouse over any one of them, in this case it's the humidity sensor, we can see the humidity is much higher than we want. Normally we want to stay between 35 and 51% humidity, and we can see either side of that we've got our amber settings, then gradually getting more amber, then red, and also going down the other way when we're getting below 20%, because one is it's not good from a health perspective, high or low humidity, and also from an equipment and situation around static for fires, it's not a good idea as well. You can get a really high level of static build-up in a dry environment. We can also see temperature, so it's in Fahrenheit setting at the moment, but we could have that in centigrade, and again I can put the mouse over and we'll see a visual picture, a graphic symbol of that to show us where we are at the moment, but also showing where the danger areas are if we increase or decrease that temperature. Next to that, we've also got motion. So the actual monitor has a infrared motion detection system, so it's looking for heat in the space. So it doesn't matter it's day or night. If it sees motion, it'll actually tell you if there's motion there, so if there's people moving around in that space. So this is independent of what we do with the cameras. It'll actually notice if there actually is movement in that space. We've also got a noise meter, and just might be better if I move myself down away from where I am. I've actually got you my position of my camera in not really the best place, so let me move myself down to the bottom while we're doing this, and move back over there. So what we can see now on there, we've got a noise level. Noise is a really dangerous thing. I myself have had issues with noise as well, because I've worked in very noisy environments with aircraft when I was in the Royal Air Force, and I suffer with tinnitus. So I know the damage that noise can do to you. And again, what we can see here is if we put the mouse over, we can see those noise levels where it's okay, but then when we're lifting up towards a dangerous level, we're going to go amber, darker amber, and then to red, because we really want to ensure that people aren't having really noisy environments, or if they are, that we've got adequate protection in place to make sure that those people don't have their hearing damaged there. Next to that, we've got a particulate. So it's particulate matter 2.5. So this is looking at the amount of particles that are less than 2.5 microns in size. So dust particles and other, say, particles that come from a combustion engine, anything that creates particles in the atmosphere, we can actually see that. If we're in an industrial environment, we might be using cutting tools or grinding tools, and we could generate particulate matter in the space, and this will measure that and show us when we get into the point where it's dangerous for the human environment. And again, we would need to wear some form of a face mask to stop that being inhaled. And then finally, what we've got is TVOC, and TVOC's all about the volume of our organic compounds. So we're looking at volatile organic compounds, so things like ethanol, benzene, those kind of things, maybe cleaning fluids, paints, thinners that might be used in a space, or particular chemicals that are organic matter based that might be used in a manufacturing process. But again, these can be very toxic to human beings. So we have a green space when we're actually quite low in the amount of parts per thousand, but as we increase that, we get in through that yellow, orange, and then into red when it's a dangerous situation from it. So we can see those quite quickly, and if we have multiple sensors, we'd have different rows down here. We can also click onto that particular sensor and go further into it, so we can see the information laid out a little clearer at the bottom here, showing us those different things. And if we want to look at that humidity, because it is higher than it should be, we can click on it and we can see that humidity, and we can look at it over a period of time. So at the moment we're looking over the last 5 minutes today, but what we could do is look over, say, the last 6 hours, or even over the last 24 hours. And we could see the range of that humidity, how it's increasing and decreasing. And this could be due to the air conditioning being turned off during nighttime periods, or the humidity increasing because of the actual outside temperature and climatic conditions. So we can actually see that over a period of time, and we can see we're having spikes. It's difficult sometimes to know how healthy an environment is, but if you can actually go back and look at those figures and look over a period of time, it makes it much easier to understand what's happening. We can do the same with noise level. So we can actually go at points in time and see when we've higher levels of noise. And as you can see above, we're also getting a video of that time. So if there was something happening that was actually showing, what the source of that noise was, or the source of that organic, volatile organic compound in there, we'd see that as well. So if we were looking at the TVOC and there was a real spike in the TVOC, It could be that somebody's spilt something in that space, or we're going through a particular part of a process, maybe a cleaning down of equipment in a manufacturing facility, and we can see where those levels spike, part of that process. And again, we can use that part of our health and safety and our risk assessment to manage those risks as we go through that process. We may want to reduce the amount of people in that particular area during those peak times, or again make sure that people are wearing the correct protective equipment, PPE, during that phase of activity. But we can actually see it then through those phases and what's happening, maybe in a manufacturing process, maybe in a preparation for packaging process, whatever we're actually doing, we can see that. And again, we can just see the same for a particulate matter, looking at these less than 2.5 micron dust particles or other material particles that could be in the air around us. So really interesting what this sensor can do. But we can also set alerts. So below we can see some alerts here where we've got the humidity sensor set, and it's actually telling us that the figure has gone above the metrics that we've specified. So any one of the sensors that we've got, so humidity, temperature, motion, noise level, the particulate matter, also the volatile organic compounds and air quality, which we haven't covered yet, and vape index, can be set so that we can actually see, have an alert to our phone if we're using the app, SMS or email, if we've got an increase in any one of those beyond a threshold or a decrease below a certain threshold. So it could be based on temperature, and if we go below, say, 16 degrees centigrade, because it's quite a common figure that we don't really want people working if it's below 16 degrees centigrade, unless they're wearing warm clothing, we could actually see that as well. The other two sensors we've got on here is the air quality index, and with the air quality index it sets us an index of up to 100 for that index. So as long as we're within the normal space range of up to 100, that's fairly healthy. As we go above 51, we can see that that's starting to get a little bit outside of what we really want, and over 100, that's an unhealthy figure for air quality. So we can actually monitor not only the amount of particulate matter and also organic volatile organic compounds in the air, we can also look at the air quality index as well and see what that level is. Finally, we can actually have a vape index, and vape index does two things. It monitors the amount of smoking activity in that space. It'll also tell us if anyone's been using some kind of electric cigarette vaping tool as well. So if we're confining areas because we don't want smoking for either health or because of fire risk, and we want to monitor that, we can actually see that from that vape index. So if somebody does smoke, we can actually see that in that space, or using the alternative electronic version, the vape piece, so we can see if that's happening. So really interesting metrics we can gather. We can send all these to a central place. We can use the API as well to extract data and bring it all together and report on it. But it gives us a really good understanding of the environment. But again, it's linked with the camera to that space, so we can see what's happening at that point in time. And also, if we had an issue that was a few days ago, we can go back and have a look what happened at that point in time. If we had an accident, so someone spilt some chemicals in a warehouse or a manufacturing situation, we could go to that point and see what measurement we had. What other things do we need to do, because maybe the TVOC figure had increased beyond healthy levels. We may want to actually get a number of people that were in that space to go and have health checks if it got to that level. So a really, really interesting tool to add to our arsenal to make sure that we're actually protecting our staff in these manufacturing or office environments, even to make sure that everything's safe. But if it was a hospitality environment, we might want to monitor the spaces just to see movement at night, the temperature levels in areas that aren't commonly monitored for temperature, because we may have got air conditioning in each room. Again, we can actually understand exactly what's happening and the quality of the air in that space as well. So hopefully that's given you a good picture of the SV11 and what it can achieve. What I'd like to do quickly is show you the people section now. So previously what happened when we looked at a camera, we could use the artificial intelligence and machine learning analytics to actually identify people by what they're wearing, even upload a picture and look for them through that section. What we've got now is a separate section that covers all of the cameras, that when we click on it, we can see all the pictures of people that have been picked up by our cameras. We can remove them, so we can delete any of these from the system if we wanted to remove them from a GDPR perspective. But if we wanted to keep them and maybe track particular employees, and where they work and what cameras have picked them up, we can actually name them. So if we look at any one of these, so if we went to Brittany, say, and we click on there, Brittany's image will come up and we can see every camera that Brittany has been picked up on, and also what time and date that was. So we can actually find exactly where Brittany's been during that period of time. Again, we can do the same. Maybe we'll pick out someone else, say Philip here. So we've uploaded a picture of Philip, but I've also got some captures of Philip. And again, we can see them on every camera. But as you note, we can actually see them even if their face is obscured using a mask as well. So it understands Philip even if he's wearing a mask and different clothing, if he's got his glasses on or not, it doesn't matter. The actual system is very good at identifying who's who and understanding where they are and picking out which cameras and also what time, what day it's been picked up on as well. So really good to be able to identify where people have been working and things. And it could be you want to look to check in a particular area, how many people have been into that space, or you want to just keep an eye on when people are coming and going in your environment. Really simple to do that. Then finally, it could be if you're wanting to identify individuals that shouldn't be there, like shoplifters or other forms of criminal activity. Again, that can be used as well. Hopefully that's been of use to you today. We went through that SV11 sensor and we could see all the benefits of that sensor and what it provides for you, giving you a really good understanding of the health of the environment, from air quality through particulate matter, also the volatile organic compounds in that space, temperature, humidity, and really understand exactly what's happening there. So really good for something like a manufacturing environment, also placed inside a warehousing situation, or even in office settings where we wanted to understand exactly what's happening and how healthy the environment is for our staff. So coming back to Monday, we've had quite an exciting day. We had a big delivery today. So we had our Diamante cluster delivered today. So we've got a D20 cluster being delivered of 4 nodes, and we're in the process of installing that at the moment. What we're also doing is videoing the actual process all the way through, so we can do a time-lapse video so we can show you all the process and the time it takes to rack and connect the equipment, and then to configure it and have it live and be able to accept a Kubernetes container workload. Once we've done that, we're also going to go through some testing where we can actually show you some performance figures as well, and also ease of use. So if you want to pick up with us on Monday, on our Diamante Monday at 3 o'clock, join me then and we can tell you a little bit more about what we're doing with Diamante. Thank you very much.